Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be continuing looking at the Big Finish news for July and August 2024. And as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, this episode I'm going to start by talking about the Paternoster Gang, No Place Like Home, which on the 19th of July 2024 was announced. So here's the press release. The Second Doctor visits Paternoster Row. The Paternoster Gang have an unexpected house guest in a brand new box set of full cast audio drama due for release in December 2024 by Big Finish Productions. Here we have the cover, which shows all of the main cast. So the Paternoster Gang, which is Neil McIntosh, who plays Madame Vastra, Jan Starkey as Strax, and Katrin Stewart as Jenny, with this box set featuring Michael Troughton as the Second Doctor. Here, let's continue with the press release. 3 new adventures await Sawyer and Detective Madame Vastra, played by Neil McIntosh, her wife Jenny, played by Katrin Stewart, and their son Torrin Butler Strax, played by Dan Starkey even. In the forthcoming The Paternoster Gang trespasses No Place Like Home, and there are plenty of surprises in store. No Place Like Home is the third of 4 box sets in a 12-episode story arc in which Paternoster Row is infiltrated by an alien threat, and now the secret of the shape-shifting trespassers will be revealed. The trio also receives some help from a familiar friend with an unfamiliar face. The Second Doctor, played by Michael Troughton, joins them in a 3rd episode, The House Guest. This Doctor is new to Vastra, but can they work together to root out the villains hiding in Victorian London's underworld? No Place Like Home also marks the Big Finish writing debut of Neil McIntosh, who has scripted the 2nd episode, Jellyfish, with her fellow Paternoster Gang star Dan Starkey. The 3 new cases for Vastra and Co. are Doppelgangers by Ken Bentley, with the synopsis being: after being imprisoned by a shape-shifting foe, Jenny has escaped through the London sewers, has returned to Paternoster Row. Meanwhile, captor, now disguised as Double Jenny, infiltrates Paternoster Row with murderous intent. Jellyfish, written by Neil McIntosh and Dan Starkey, with the synopsis being: the gang head to the coast for Madame Vastra to Covalence, but their holiday proves far from restful. This Cornish village is home to suspicious locals, strange storms and wreckers. Most dangerous of all, something lurking in the seas, something with the nearest hold of a Vastra. The 3rd and final story in this box set is titled The House Guest, which is written by Matt Fitton. Vastra, Jenny and Strax return to London to find Paternoster Row changed. Houses lie empty, a crime wave grips the neighbourhood, a new criminal mastermind rules the underworld. What's more, number 13 has an unexpected house guest, and he claims to be the Doctor. The guest cast of No Place Like Home includes Maggie Service, who you may know from Good Omens, Derek Hutchinson, who you may know from The Way, and Big Finish executive producer and regular alien voice Nicholas Briggs. Producer David Richardson said, "The secret of the trespasser is revealed in this box set, and there are surprises in store. This is the first Paternoster Gang set written entirely by members of the team. Neve and Dan provide one very lovely episode, while the other episodes are penned by our director Ken and script editor Matt. They're all written with familiarity with the series while pushing it into new directions. There are some wonderful belly laughs to be had too. barely where we're up to. What if a blood has to be had to? I love this series. The real world can be a tough whole place, but the Paternoster gang is a cozy one place to exist and one that leaves the biggest smile on your face. Just a reminder that the Paternoster gang, No Place Like Home, releases in December 2024. Next up, so now we're on to the 22nd of July 2024, which is when the first Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness, was announced even. Let's have a look at the press release. The press release is titled The First Doctor and Steven Reunited. Peter Purves returns to Doctor Who in the First Doctor Adventures The Living Darkness, a brand new full cast audio drama due for release in January 2025. From Space Pilot to King, the 1966 Doctor Who TV story The Savages ended with Steven Taylor leaving the TARDIS to become ruler of a newly ununited planet, but his adventures don't end there. Peter Purves returns to the role of Steven in the First Doctor Adventures The Living Darkness, a full-cast audio drama which is the beloved companion in his later years trapped on a dangerous spaceship and reunited with the Doctor. This is the first time that Steven has been paired with Big Finish's recast First Doctor, played by Stephen Noonan. There's another reunion in store, as the adventure also stars Lauren Cornelius as the Doctor's companion Dodo Chaplin. It's also been 80 years for Steven since he left the Doctor and Dodo, and the old friends have a lot to catch up on as well to deal with. Doctor Who, The First Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness is written by Jacqueline Rayner and is a 6-part audio drama told over one 3-disc box set. Here's a synopsis. Steven Taylor thought he'd left a life of adventure behind when he said goodbye to the Doctor and forged his future as the leader of a world. But decades later, when a broken and grieving Steven awakes aboard a mysterious spaceship, terror is close at hand. What is the purpose of the ship's voyage, and why has it collected a random group from different points in time and space? What sinister presence lurks within the darkness that smothers its corridors, and can Steven really trust the new arrival claiming to be the Doctor? Also on the cast list of the First Doctor Adventures The Living Darkness are Dido Miles as Ava, Laura Rollins as Umbriel, Jack Ayers as Quare, Helen Phillips as Nanny, Dayon Brony as Mish, and Trevor Littledale as Kumvak. Producer Mark Wright said, "What an honour to reunite Steven Taylor with the First Doctor in an adventure paying tribute to the rich era of 1960s Doctor Who. The Living Darkness is a terrific script from Jacqueline Rayner, full of suspense, terror and rich emotion. Peter Purves is a true icon of not just Doctor Who, but of British popular culture. It was a joy to see Peter and our First Doctor, Stephen Noonan, working together so effortlessly. We also had a superb company of guest actors joining us for this epic story, and into the warm and collaborative atmosphere that typifies the Big Finish Green Room." That's it for The Living Darkness. Then on the 23rd of July 2024, we have the cover for Bernice Summerfield, The Eternity Club 2. As we know, Bernice Summerfield is played by Bernice. No, it's not. Bernice Summerfield is played by Lisa Barman. Next up, on the 24th of July 2024, Doctor Who The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf was released. Here we have the press release. The press release reads, D-Day for the Second Doctor. Michael Troughton, Wendy Padbury and Fraser Hines star in The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf, a full cast audio drama released today from Big Finish Productions. The Lost Stories, a range of audio dramas based on unproduced scripts and story synopsises from the classic era of Doctor Who, continues today with Operation Werewolf. This Second World War set sci-fi tale features the Second Doctor, played by Michael Troughton, along with his companions Jamie, played by Fraser Hines, and Zoe, played by Wendy Padbury. The TARDIS arrives in Normandy shortly before D-Day, where its time-travelling crew discover sinister Nazi experiments that could change the course of history. In 1967, acclaimed Doctor Who director Douglas Camfield and writer Robert Kitt submitted the treatment for Operation Werewolf to the BBC, but due to a combination of budget constraints and sensitivity about the recent war, it never made it to production. Now, based on the two surviving outline documents and producer Ines Lloyd's notes, Jonathan Morris has adapted the story into a 6-part audio drama. Here's the synopsis. The TARDIS has brought the Doctor, Jamie and Zoe, to Normandy in France, not in 1066 as intended, but in 1944, 3 days before the Allies are due to launch the D-Day landings. Joining forces with French partisans, they learn that the Germans have been conducting secret experiments at a nearby chateau. These experiments form part of a plan that German High Command believes will enable them to win the Second World War. The name of that plan, Operation Werewolf. The cast list of Operation Werewolf also includes Jordan Luffrin, who you may know from Raised by Wolves, Branko Tomvik, who you may know from 24 Live Another Day, Michael Higgs, who you may know from Wizard vs. Aliens, and one Voice Award winner, Leo Slunsley. Actor Michael Troughton said, "This is a brilliant story and I'm surprised it was a lost story and they didn't use it back in the day, but it's such a clever idea. There are futuristic elements in it. This is based in the Second World War, which is wonderful." Writer Jonathan Morris added, "I've been wanting to do Operation Werewolf ever since the Lost Stories range began back in 2009. What interested me about that is that it's such an unusual story. It's set in history in Normandy a few days before the D-Day landings, with a science fiction plot, but not one resulting from alien or time traveller interference. I can't think of another Doctor Who story that does that." That is the press release for Doctor Who The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf. Here's the trailer.
Where are we, Doctor?
Exactly where we're meant to be, Jamie. Normandy 1066.
They didn't have many railways in William the Conqueror's day, did they, Doctor?
No. Right place.
Wrong time.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who The Lost Stories, Operation Werewolf.
What's that?
I think I know. Aeroplane. What are those things lighting it up?
Searchlights, Jamie.
Someone's shooting at it.
Oh dear.
Well, that rules out the 19th century.
Yes, Zoe.
Sir Aubrey, the radio room has just picked up a call from the resistance group in Normandy. They say they found the Doctor.
The Doctor? Who are you? And what are you doing here?
I'm Jamie McCrimmon.
I'm Zoe Herriot. We just arrived.
In Normandy? They're headed this way. I'll try to draw them off.
Papa.
Look after my daughter.
Oh, hello. All right, we wouldn't want him to die before the Commandant had a chance to question him.
I am Hauptsturmführer Leni Bruckner, aide de camp to Gruppenführer Schneider. We have been expecting you, Herr Doctor.
So, this is a police box. The doctor will have the key. Fascinating.
How are our two guests? They know too much. So we interrogate them, force the truth out of them.
If they are spies, I will happily kill them myself.
You're members of the Resistance, aren't you?
Well done.
3, 2, 1, and activate!
You mean these two cabinets
A
are...
means of instantaneous meta transmission.
You, Professor Hans Richter, have mastered teleportation.
The locations of the main troop camps on the south coast. We will shortly send over an elite commando force who will release the gas at the camps.
What is it? It's poisonous gas.
What about gas masks?
We don't have any.
The troops will then fall under our control.
I am loyal to the Third Reich. Heil Hitler.
The gas and lunar light will turn the Allied poodles into Nazi wolves. Hence the name of this plan, Operation Werewolf.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Doctor Who The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf. You can check my review for episode 1 on the channel. I think it was either my last or penultimate episode before I took a break. So go check that out, and the episodes will come up at some point. Because they're only about 25 minutes, they'll be higher up on the list rather than like the movies, which are not anywhere near the top of the list at the moment and the final bit of Big Finish news from July 2024, which is I'm actually going to finish off this episode with, is Zygon Century was announced, and this took place on the 26th of July 2024. Here is what it says in the press release. The press release is titled Zygon Invasion. The Body Snatchers ling among us in Zygon Century, a brand new range of full cast audio dramas for Big Finish Productions beginning in January 2025. And here is the synopsis for it. The Zygons have come to claim the Earth, and this time they're playing the long game. For the Black Saber have a plan that will take exactly 100 years to come to fruition. Prepare yourself. The Zygon Century has begun. The Zygons, first seen in 1975 Doctor Who TV story, tell the Zygons are shape-shifting aliens who've tried on several occasions to invade Earth by stealing the identities of captive humans, and sometimes their infiltrators have become more successful than we know. Zygon Century, a new range of audio dramas from Big Finish Productions, tells the story of their latest scheme, one that sees them take residence among the human race over a period of 100 years. The secrets of this invasion will be revealed as Zygon Century progresses. It's primarily an anthology series, with each episode set in a different year over the course of the alien incursion and telling its own complete story. The first Zygon Century box set is due for release in January 2025. Includes a turn of the century called Horror, a Cornish folktale like no other, and an Ian Fleming inspired action adventure. The three stories in this box set are so the first one takes place in 1901, which is titled The Unknowing Mirror, written by Jonathan Barnes. The next story takes place in 1935, titled The Miracle of Pendle Cove, written by Lauren Mooney and Stephen Pringle. And the third and final story in this box set takes place in 1957, titled Double Agent, written by Trevor Baxendale. Producer Jonathan S. Powell explains that Zygon Century is a hugely exciting sandbox to play in. The Zygons are such endlessly fascinating creations, shape changes, unusually vulnerable to bullets, and despite their unnatural appearance, capable of the same humanity as we are, which means there are so many wonderful stories to tell. As an anthology series, each writer-led episode has its own unique genre, style, and story, tackling a different year of the century-long Zygon invasion. But just what are the Zygons planning for humanity? Will it take them 100 years? That is the press release for Zygon Century, with the first box set releasing in January 2025. And that's all the Big Finish news from July 2024. So in the next episode, next time on the Everything Podcast, I will be starting to look at the Big Finish news for August 2024, while starting by looking at Doctor Who The Lost Stories Death World and the Death and Life of River Song Last Words. But let me know what you thought about all the news I've talked about in this episode, and maybe if you've listened to Operation Werewolf, which I've talked about in this episode as well. Remember, you can put all of your suggestions in the comments below as well. I'd love to see them, but obviously the shorter there are, there'll be more towards the top of the list, and if they're longer, they're more towards the bottom. But yes, put all of those in the comments below. Remember, also like, comment, and subscribe. And that's it for this episode of the Everything Podcast. Goodbye.